Prometheism was a political project initiated by Joseph Pilsudski to weaken the Russian Empire and its successor states, including the Soviet Union, by supporting nationalist independence movements among the major non-Russian peoples that lived within the borders of Russia and the Soviet Union, as a means of national liberation from Russia and weakening the Russian state as a geopolitical threat from 1918 to 1939. Edmund Czartoryski was a Polish military intelligence officer who conducted Promethean operations from 1927 until World War II and is one of the main sources for this video. Czartoryski wrote on page 56 in his book that, quote, "The creator and soul of the Promethean concept was Marshal Pilsudski, who as early as 1904 in a memorandum to the Japanese government pointed out the need to employ in the struggle against Russia the numerous non-Russian nations that inhabited the basins of the Baltic, Black, and Caspian Seas, and emphasized that the Polish nation, by virtue of its history, love of freedom, and uncompromising stance toward the three empires that had partitioned Poland out of political existence at the end of the 18th century, would, in that struggle, doubtless take a leading place and help work the emancipation of other nations oppressed by Russia." In the era of 1917 to 1921, as the nations of the Russian Empire were fighting for independence, Czartoryski stated that Poland was the only country that worked actively together with those peoples, as the Western Allies were supporting the White Russians instead of separatist and nationalist movements. The Germans had also backed various wars of independence in the Baltic and Eastern European regions. However, Czartoryski argued that the Germans were following not Promethean ideals, but were being opportunistic regarding Eastern Europe and wanted to maintain the Brest-Litovsk Treaty after the Great War had ended. The first period of Prometheism was from 1918 to 1921 and saw Poland drawing a new border with Germany and Soviet Russia, as well as a boundary with Ukraine. The Baltic states achieved independence, and Poland had been one of the first to recognize them. However, Poland did fight the Polish-Lithuanian War, which strained relations between the two states. In the Black and Caspian Sea basins, this period saw the emancipation of Ukraine, Crimea, Georgia, Azerbaijan, Don, Kuban, and Northern Caucasus. During the Polish-Soviet War, Poland and Ukraine signed the Treaty of Warsaw as Poland launched the Kiev offensive. The second period of Prometheism was from 1921 to 1923 and is marked as starting with the signing of the Treaty of Riga in 1921, which ended the Polish-Soviet War. Despite this success and the independence of the Baltic states, the states around the Caspian and Black Seas were absorbed by the Bolsheviks. Polish diplomatic offices in Istanbul, Bucharest, Prague, Tehran, and Paris, and the Polish General Staff worked with Promethean politicians and emigres. As early as 1922, the first group of Georgian officers recommended by the Georgian government were accepted into the Polish army. During the third period of Prometheism, from 1923 to 1926, Pilsudski had removed himself from power, and successive Polish governments eliminated the Promethean question from their agenda. The Soviet Union at this time was assimilating non-Russian, autonomous republics while suppressing the last impulses towards independence. Polish contacts with the Promethean immigrants continued without the knowledge or consent of the Polish government. In the fourth period of Prometheism in Poland from 1926 to 1932, Pilsudski returned to power in the May 1926 coup and was the period of the most intensification of Prometheism as Poland became more determined, organized, and active in collaboration with Promethean organizations across Europe. Contacts were maintained with Ukrainians and Cossacks and the representatives of several peoples of the Caucasus such as Azeris, Armenians, and Georgians. Propaganda movements appeared all over Europe, with some in the Middle East and Central Asia, in support of independence movements sponsored by Poland against the Soviet Union. One notable event in the fourth period was the Cossack Affairs. A successful campaign was waged that helped stimulate a separatist movement among many Cossack immigrant groups. However, Germany, Czechoslovakia, and Lithuania backed the Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists, a far-right Ukrainian anti-Polish and anti-Hungarian group which carried out sabotage against Polish communities in southeastern Poland. Poland carried out a pacification effort during the interwar years, and eventually the OUN would end up massacring over 120,000 Poles in World War II and collaborate with the Germans. The fifth period of Prometheism was from 1933 to 1939 and is marked as starting after the signing of the Polish-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact of 1932, which the Soviets broke when they invaded Poland with Germany in 1939. The pact reduced the effectiveness of those endeavors of Prometheism and created a view in the international Promethean circles that Poland was slowly moving away towards the policy of Prometheism. However, Poland shifted towards covert and clandestine operations headed by Office 2. Covert and clandestine Promethean operations took place during this period as the Poles realized that the rise of the Nazis in Germany, that another war was on the horizon. A principal task of Office 2 was organizing and conducting clandestine operations outside of Poland, chiefly in bordering countries, and preparing resistance cells in areas outside of Poland that, in the event of a war, might be occupied by the enemy forces and be able to start resistance. Agents of Office 2 operated in Germany, Danzig, Czechoslovakia, and Lithuania. These agents also penetrated anti-Hitler German emigre communities in Czechoslovakia and especially in France, and was responsible for the annexation of Trans-Alza in 1938. Following the annexation, Office 2 coordinated with Hungarian operatives to restore the Carpathian Rus to Hungarian control in Operation Crowbar from October of 1938 to March of 1939. The success of this operation was important because Hungary controlled the territory instead of Czechoslovakia, and Horthy did not allow the Nazi forces to pass through Hungary during the invasion of Poland, as Czechoslovakia had already been annexed. During World War II, Czarskiewicz and Office 2 coordinated guerrilla attacks against the Germans behind the lines in Poland. Czarskiewicz himself would help pioneer asymmetrical warfare and advise the British SOE and technical specialists while running intelligence operations in occupied territories. After World War II ended, Prometheism became somewhat irrelevant during the Cold War as Poland was a satellite state in the Warsaw Pact. In the post-Cold War era in 2007, however, a statue of Prometheus was built in Tbilisi, Georgia, and dedicated to the Polish support of Georgian independence. Prometheism has regained relevance in political discourse following the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine. Since the invasion, the Free Nations of Post-Russia Forum brought together a number of movements aiming for the independence of national minorities within the Russian Federation. Did you know about Prometheism, the Polish operations against Germany and the Soviet Union, Czarskiewicz, and Polish interwar foreign policy before this video? Write in the comments below, and thank you for watching.